Hey everyone, it's Stephanie with Bottom of the Bin, and today we're going to be making a greeting card for my lovely friend Gwen. She's requested cards in the past before. We made some really pretty pink ones with butterflies, and this one is for one of her friends who is turning 80 years old. So it's going to be a birthday card, and she requested the color yellow. So I'm using my favorite things, flowers and butterflies, and let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is I usually cut my own cardstock, and I use a pretty thick one. I believe it's about 300 pound or maybe GSM. I can never remember quite the difference, but it's definitely one of the thicker cardstocks that I've ever seen, and I love it, especially because I love to layer things on like flowers, and I used to use a lot of hot glue. So it's pretty sturdy and it works very well. I've also went ahead and pre-picked out some colors here. I think what we're going to do is probably make a border either out of the yellow on yellow or the yellow on red. I haven't quite decided yet. I know that I want the happy birthday to be in red, and so I'm thinking, even though I initially wanted the yellow on yellow, that this might help bring out some of the color in the card so it matches a bit better. So let's make this our frame or our border. So I make 5 by 7 cards, so we'll cut this to be 7 by 5 for our front. So there's 5, or I guess for our back, our border, and 7. And then since this one will be the front of the card, we're going to make this a little bit smaller. So I usually do about maybe 6.5 by 5.5 or 4.5, I guess. Sometimes 4.25, just depends on what I'm feeling. I'll go right here and we'll see what that looks like. I always just do a little test to make sure it lies exactly where I want it. And it looks like we have a little bit of extra space on the top, so let's just trim that up there a tiny bit. That should do it. There we go. That is perfect. Next, I'm going to pop out my trimmer here and add in the scoring attachment. So this will just go ahead and score the card. It won't cut it. And we'll do it exactly at half here. That way, when we fold it over, it has a little line to guide us and to help us fold it since it is thicker. I'm also going to use my bone tool here to help straighten it up. So we're just going to line it up here and do one pass this way, one pass this way. And again, since the cardstock is a bit thicker, I'm going to do another pass on each side as well. That way it lies as flat as we can get it. Now we're going to add our red cardstock, and we'll go ahead and put some tape using our tape runner. This is by AdTech. A lot of people ask which one I use. There's a lot of different tape runners out there, but this is a brand that I happen to like the best, and I'm able to get the refills fairly cheaply on Amazon, so I tend to stick to that one. All right, so now we're just going to lay this down here using the center as our guide. And I messed up a little bit. The only problem with the tape runner is once you set it down, you can't really pick it up and move it. So it's very subtle, but we are also going to want to trim some of this excess off here. So let's just see if we could clean this up a bit. I know handmade cards can't be perfect, but I do like to try to make them as nice as I can. And when I mess up like this and I want to cut, I could just kind of trim it with a pair of scissors, but I want to keep it as straight as possible, and I want it to still line up with the back of the card. So I'm actually going to go all the way across. That way it matches better. Okay, next we're going to take the front piece right here, and I'm going to again make sure it lines up. Since we trimmed a little bit, it might not be perfect. However, I can't tell a difference there, so that should be good. For this one, we're going to put the tape runner on this piece. Since it is smaller, we want to make sure we don't have extra tape hanging off of the edges. Getting a sticky card is the worst. All right, so we're going to line this up here, and again, since it is very, very sticky, we want to make sure we get it right the first time. And it's a tiny bit off, but you know what? I'm not going to stress about it. It looks good. It looks good. All right, I don't think we're going to need this yellow piece, so we'll set that aside for another project. Then what I was thinking was to kind of get a frame in here. I don't do a whole lot of frames on my cards. I have a lot of chipboard pieces, and they look great on mixed media canvases and such, but they are a bit too heavy for a greeting card. So I was thinking if we do something like this, we'll run that through the die cutting machine. Maybe that's where we'll use the other yellow. I'm not sure yet. And I had kind of this idea for an open window. I assume when we cut the cards with this, it'll open and close, but I figured something like that would be cute. And then we could layer the flowers sort of around it. So I already picked out these flowers and this butterfly to match. And then we'll just have to pick exactly where those make sense. And I kind of do this before I start cutting and gluing things down. That way I can get everything exactly where I want it. So I think that actually looks pretty good there. The only problem with this, well, first of all, I gotta figure out where the butterfly is gonna go, probably there, is there's not much room for the happy birthday sentiment. And I think though, we can kind of just corner it like this, and that should lie pretty nicely there, I hope. If not, again, we'll test it before we glue everything down. I could put a little bit of foam tape on the back of that so it's raised up a bit more, just like these are. So that way it's just layered on, and we can think about maybe putting something like in the window when it opens, maybe a little sky scene or a little grass scene. I'm not sure what that'll look like, but let's get there first and then we'll decide. Okay, so this is my big shot. It is a die cutting machine. I love it. I use it fairly often, definitely get a lot of use out of it. Oh, I just realized this was left over from an old project. I'm gonna have to figure out what die set that goes to. I remember, it was the one with the balloons. Don't want to lose that. And I'm kind of thinking of what colors I want to do. I think the window itself might look good in red, and then maybe the frame can be this yellow so it breaks up the flowers a bit. I think that'll look good, so let's give that a try. So the first thing we're gonna do is cut this down to size. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're just cutting out the border. So I'm just gonna kind of lay the die on top and just make sure I give myself adequate room on the sides and the top. Next, we're gonna lay our cardstock down. I use the magic mat from scrapbook.com. I just find it, I don't know, just a little bit easier to use. And normally we could use some washi tape to hold this down, but since it's not a stamp and a die set, it doesn't have to line up perfectly, and it's a solid color cardstock, it's fine to just wing it. Then we're gonna put our hard plate on top, and we're gonna just guide it through. So it has this manual crank. Oh boy. It is not the easiest to put through, but you definitely want a little bit of tension. Otherwise, you may not cut the cardstock all the way through. I think that did the trick. Oh, that's going to be so pretty. So we're going to kind of pop this off here, and then we're going to use what's called a weeding tool to get rid of all these little pieces that didn't punch out correctly. I'm just using this one here by We Are Memory Keepers, I think it is called. Now I also do some greeting card ASMR videos. They're just little quick shot snippets of a bigger process like this. On YouTube, you can find them in our shorts section. Otherwise, they are also on our TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Those are videos where I'm not talking. I'm just showing the process again super quickly, and then just listening to the ASMR sounds, these satisfying sounds from punching out paper, cutting paper, gluing paper, stamping, all that fun stuff. But y'all get to hear my lovely voice instead. Now, this can also be done once you take the paper off the die, but I like doing it this way so I have something kind of substantial. It's not just flopping around. And we're going to want to make sure to get every detail, including these little dots. Oh no, my tool might not fit through there. So let's pop this out. This is always the tricky part. There we go. Be careful not to rip our cardstock. And now we can go ahead and get rid of those other little pieces that I couldn't do now that we don't have like the metal part It makes it a little easier for the super, super tiny details. Stuff is flying everywhere. It's literally in my hair. Oh, okay. Those tiny little dots were actually just to help push it out, so we didn't need to actually cut those out. So there we go. We have a very intricate border. Now, in my head, I was thinking this was going to be open in the middle. I think in order to do that, I might have had to use one other one of these, but I'm not quite positive. I'm not super familiar with using dies, so I guess not. I guess it's just meant to make this sort of frame with a backing. This could still work for what we want though, because this is just going to lie on top of this. Wait, what if we cut the window directly out of the frame? That's something I didn't think about, instead of having two separate pieces. And if that's the case, maybe we should do this in red instead. So let's make this like our test piece. Let's see what it ends up looking like. Look at all these little tiny pieces that got embedded in the mat. I'm just gonna use my Cricut scraper here to kind of clean this off. Okay, I think some of that is just permanently stuck. Okay, let's test this theory. Let's pop that there. I'm actually gonna go up a little bit since the flowers are on the bottom. Let's get it as straight as I can, and fingers crossed this does what I want it to do. The trick is just really using all your might to hold it down. Otherwise, it slides everywhere. Okay, there it goes. All right, let's see. No, so it, I mean, kind of. Actually, hold on, this might work. I was hoping this piece was part of the frame, but it at least cut out a hole where we know we want the window to go. So maybe we do need to make the window in red. And that way we'll still get what we wanted, the border in yellow and then the window in red. So again, just gonna pop all these little pieces out of here, making sure not to cut myself. Is that one supposed to come out? Oh, yep. Maybe. No, I don't know. All right. Oh my gosh, look, it's a cute little window. There's a few more little pieces I gotta get out of here. And just being really careful not to rip my cardstock. Thicker is always better. Oh, I ripped it a little bit there, but I don't think it'll be noticeable. If you use like a very flimsy paper, this is going to be a lot more delicate to cut. But most of these pieces just pop out of here fairly nicely. Oh, that ripped again too. I don't know, maybe I didn't run it well enough. I think it'll be okay. Also, ignore my nails, they're kind of messed up. I literally just put this, they're like stickers on 2 days ago, and this is a cheaper brand I got off Amazon, and it just looks horrible. I'm definitely going to stick with the Color Street ones, which are the ones I've used in the past. They're a bit more pricey, but they last much, much longer. Unless you guys have any suggestions, let me know. Okay, let's kind of see what we have going on here now. So that is the frame that I wanted, and that is the window that I wanted. But again, I wanted the window in red, but that still worked out perfectly because now we have the opening here. And like I said, we can either make this look like it's like a sky or a field of grass, or we could just leave it. I mean, it's flowers. It would make sense to open your window and see flowers. So let's go ahead and make this exact same piece in the red color. Oh, and since I also want the happy birthday in red, we can do both at the same time. So we'll do the window and the happy birthday. I feel like I'm starting to warp my plate. I'm not sure. Maybe I was using some cheaper dies, but the other day one of my dies just completely bent. Hopefully these ones are okay. Yeah, that looks fine. Alrighty, let's get the happy birthday out first. Curious to see how that came out. So if you've been following my unbinning series where we purchased an 80-year-old lady's entire collection of craft supplies, first of all, she is actually 79, I found out during the Q&A, but she is turning 80 in July, just like the person we're making this card for, although I think this person's turning 80 in June. And so if you want to send a card for our legacy crafter, which is what we're calling her for privacy reasons, you can go ahead and ship that to our store, and I will get a little care package sent out for her next month, or I guess next month. So feel free to send that over. Got one already plus the one I'm going to be making, so I'm very excited to be able to get those to her. But the reason I'm bringing it up is some of these dies and papers and pretty much everything I'm using, not everything, but a lot of the stuff that I'm using came from her collection. I've went ahead and like mixed them in with my collection now. So for example, I think these Nuvo drops were her. I know the happy birthday sentiment was her. And I think some of these metal dies we're using, and maybe even some of the paper. Maybe even the butterflies. So maybe a lot. I'm just excited to play with the new stuff, obviously. All right, we got our red window. Get this cleaned up and popped out of here as well. I really love making greeting cards. For me, it's just so relaxing. I have been obsessed with paper crafting ever since I started making like custom journal covers. I was doing a lot of mixed media on the front and making like requests for people. And one of the journals I made, I lined the inside with some really pretty matching cardstock. And something about cutting the cardstock and gluing the cardstock was just super fun and relaxing to me. And ever since then, paper crafting has become like my #1 hobby. I do also like doing a bit of watercoloring as well, but really card making, art journaling. I haven't really gotten into scrapbooking, and I definitely want to get into junk journaling, but just anything to do with paper, I find super, super relaxing. It's like those little middle pieces right there are the ones that are getting stuck. All right, there we go. All right, let's get our little frame back here and line it up. Oh, that's gonna be so cute. Okay, I'm very excited for that. Oh, maybe, no, I was gonna say maybe we should put some vellum through it, but then it's just gonna look like a frosted window. I honestly think I'm just gonna leave it like this. I don't want to overthink it too much. I think it's gonna be very, very pretty. And oh no, making it higher up maybe didn't leave enough room for the happy birthday. I wasn't thinking about that. I just knew I wanted more room for the flowers on the bottom. No, it might be okay. It might be okay. Let's see. So if that goes there, there, and there, I think it will still be okay. Maybe if we move the whole frame down a bit. I normally don't mind if it overlaps with like the border, but since they're the same color, we want as much separation as we can. Maybe, what if we put the happy birthday over the flowers? Let's test that and see what that looks like. So if it was something like that, no, that's way too much going on, I think. Yeah, I think this will work. Normally, I wouldn't like all of the delicate pieces laying on top of each other, but since the colors are so contrasting, I think it's going to be okay. So let's just go ahead and go with it. Sometimes you just have to trust the process. Since the flowers are already 3D, I'm just going to put some tape to put this part flat down. And we could use a glue or something like a glitter glue, which is just the brand name. It's not actually glitter, or a glue pen to kind of get these little edges. But I think we're going to put enough around it that it should stay down without any issues. And I'm going to come down as low as I can here, knowing that we want that happy birthday up in the corner. It's a little bit crooked. Can't pull on it now, but that'll be fine. And then for this, we will probably want to use the glue. Now I've tried a few different glue pens without much luck. This one seems to be okay. It's fine and wide, so I guess depending on how much you open it, I haven't had much luck using it super fine, so I am still on the hunt for a better one. If anybody has any suggestions for me. Oopsie. Oh, nope. Oh, no. I didn't mean for that to happen. It wasn't screwed on all the way. Okay, I think crisis averted. There we go. That's what we wanted. And we don't want the window itself to stay down, like the part that opens. Like not the frame. You know what I mean. Like the bits that open. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But we're just going to try to get a bit of the glue around here because this is the part that we actually want to stick down so that it still opens. All right. I'm going to use tweezers for this bit because I don't want to get the glue all over me. Let's see if we get... Oh no, they got some glue on the front, but we are going to cover it with flowers, so we'll make sure that that part is covered. And then, I don't know, we could just use something like this to kind of get it to lay where we want it. I'm just going to have to use my finger here. Now, luckily the glue dries clear. I mean, it's pretty clear to begin with. So even if a little bit spills over, it's not a big deal. But of course I want to avoid it as much as possible. And then let's get the happy birthday where we want it. This part I'm going to have to be a little bit more delicate with. Precision is definitely not my strong point, which makes me wonder why I like making greeting cards. I actually have a bit of an issue with things being balanced, a bit of OCD. And I think this has actually helped me because I used to stress a lot about things being absolutely perfect and balanced, and being able to be creative with these cards and still make it like balanced without being perfectly symmetrical has helped me a lot. But when it comes to this itty bitty little precision stuff, I still get a bit flustered, which is why I don't normally do sentiments as dies, but I want to branch out and I've been having fun using them. So that is your little tip to get out of your comfort zone sometimes. Not all of these letters want to stay down, but here, let's put a little bit more behind this Y. It keeps wanting to pop up. All right, that actually turned out pretty nice. I just realized everything is crooked. Bear with me. All right, yay. Okay, it's looking super, super cute. Let's go ahead and get our flowers down. So I'm gonna check one more time where I want them, especially because I know I want to cover up this little bit here where I put a bit too much glue. All right, that actually looks really good to me. So let's get this piece down first. So I think I can get away with the tape runners on here. I could also use foam tape. I could also use the glue, but honestly, anytime I could use the tape runner, I really prefer it. It holds down pretty well and I haven't had any complaints about it coming up later. And so for this, I'm gonna go as much to the edge as I can on each side. I might have to trim a tiny bit off the bottom. Nope, I think we're good right there. I do want to make sure the window can still open though. So, okay, I think that's good right there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to just snip a tiny bit down here. Okay, and then we're gonna get the other flower right about there. And then we're gonna use this one to cover up the bits in the middle. I'm not quite sure where I want this one. I guess more down here, and then we could trim off part of the stem. And the butterfly has a little stickiness, but I'm gonna add a bit more of the tape just to double secure it there. And I think that can sit, Oh, now I'm not sure. I originally liked it down on this flower. Now I'm wondering if she should go up a little bit higher. No, maybe. It's really just about where you think it looks good. Maybe there. That's not where I was initially thinking, but kind of covers up the bits that I want it to cover. So now we're just gonna, oh, that Y keeps popping up still. Okay, please stay down. So we're just gonna trim off literally the tiniest bit. I need smaller scissors. These are good old Tim Holtz. These are very good for precision. Just gonna get a tiny bit off there. All right, great. And now I'm going to use my little pearl dots to add accents where I need. I originally thought we were going to have a lot more space on this card, but it's definitely kind of cluttered here. So I would probably go through and add some little dots or swirls, but honestly, I don't think it needs it. I was going to add a bit of glitter as well, but there's already some glitter on the butterfly, and I think it already speaks really nicely. I honestly don't think I want to clutter it with any more. It came out really pretty. Let me zoom out a bit here. It looks a bit crooked on camera, but in person it doesn't look that way. I think it's just the distortion. But yeah, it came out super cute. I love it. I hope Gwen loves it. I hope her friend has a wonderful 80th birthday. And I'm going to leave the inside blank so she can write whatever she wants. But I do have one finishing touch, our bottom of the bin sticker, which, by the way, if you are new here, I own a secondhand art and craft supply store in Tampa Bay, Florida, and that is where most of the supplies came from. So if you're local, you could come visit us and shop in store, and if not, we have an eBay, which is linked in the description. I have a ton more videos coming up, including the unbinning series I was talking about earlier, and of course, lots more crafting, so make sure to follow and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Also, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this card and what card you want to see next, because I love taking requests. See y'all next time. Bye!